Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Media Group joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, DJ?
I'm very much over par. I'm very much over par today,
How so?
Rich.
Just in life you're talking about? Just about in life?
You know, look, we've got an Achilles. You know, we're still recovering from the Achilles. Not a lot of sleep with the draft coming up. So, you know, look, maybe 2 over right now.
But, DJ, watching you on Path to the Draft, NFL Total Access, listening to you on your podcast, you can't tell, though. You know? You can't tell you're playing hurt.
That's because it's a mad scramble, Rich. Look, I'm those second shots, I'm pulling some magic off there.
Well, certainly if you're going to be evaluating talent, you can't use anything as an excuse in your own professional career, too, Daniel.
Well, you know what?
Right?
That's right. That'd be a red flag. That would be known as a red flag.
So
Rich.
Speaking of red flags, this is my way to segue.
Nice.
Thank you. To Jameis Winston here. We all know in the talent evaluation calendar, there's peaks, there's valleys. They think you're the best, and then suddenly you're not so much. And then there's questions about your place and on the draft chart, et cetera, et cetera. Winston has been essentially, ever since Mariota got, and Oregon, beaten by The Ohio State University, Mariota's been number 2. And Winston is for sure the guy that the Bucs loved, certainly into the combine, out of the combine, after pro days. Now, you know, Mayock's made a switch. We're hearing conversation in Tampa that maybe not everybody in ownership is ready to make Jameis Winston the face of the franchise. What are you hearing, Daniel?
Well, it's interesting because, look, you know, for me personally, I've had Jameis Winston throughout the whole process from, you know, during the season when I was watching him, and then even going to that Rose Bowl game, which everybody kind of thought, well, Mariota and Oregon win big, and maybe he's closed the gap or even passed Jameis Winston. I left there still feeling better about Jameis Winston's game translating, and have kind of just stuck with him through this whole thing. And now, look, this is the time of year I always call it the fog of confusion, because there's just so much information that's going to fly. There's a different story. There's a workout. There's a this. There's a that. And personally, I've just found, look, if I go with my gut, trust where I am, once the football stops being played, that's just the way that I try and do it going forward, because I've been burned so many times by the stuff that pops up right now. But I got to tell you, Rich, the David Cornwell stuff today, that's a first. I don't know if I can ever recall an attorney that's being paid by the player really kind of lobbing a shot, which is really what it kind of came down to today at that symposium. Now, I guess he's since come out in an interview and said, you know, couched it and said, look, I don't believe any college player is prepared off the field for what life holds in the NFL. But that was, I think the damage might have been done there.
Yeah, I said he's not ready to be an NFL player off the field. And this is somebody who successfully has defended him, certainly on the campus of Florida State. And that's David Cornwell, who's been around. I mean, he has represented many an NFL player throughout the year.
Yeah, no, he's very well known in league circles. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think at this point in time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have probably spent a whole lot of money doing their own investigative work here on Jameis Winston off the field. And, you know, the stuff that I can kind of gather from people I talk to is that they seem to be gaining some comfort there, that it was kind of more of that, you know, immaturity issue than it was a major character flaw. But then the news comes out that it looks like ownership's going to have a strong say in this decision. So, yeah, maybe that does throw some doubt into it being Winston with the number 1 overall pick. I know that's where I still think it will be, but a little bit of something to talk about here for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and there's Mariota in Tennessee, where Winston's going to be early next week. You had an excellent article on NFL.com, DJ, about 5 things you must understand about Marcus Mariota. Can you, in just a couple of minutes, boil down for the listeners and viewers of this program about Marcus Mariota and what needs to be understood about him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I'll just go through them real quick. I mean, you just look at the stuff that people are worried about, the quiet personality. You know, at the Combine, we had both Jameis and Marcus on our set, and Jameis kind of takes it over with his personality, and Marcus is very reserved. And I think if you're drafting Marcus hoping that he's going to grow into that and become a real vocal guy, I don't know that that's the way to go. I think that's just his nature. He's going to be a lead-by-example guy, and you need to accept that. Guys have responded to it at the college level, and you hope they do at the next level. The scheme that he was in there at Oregon, I think this is something that Mike alluded to when he made this switch, is that, you know, he saw him make some complicated reads and, you know, those combination routes, making good decisions. You do see some NFL concepts sprinkled into that Oregon offense, It's 4 or 5 plays a game, and you got to watch a lot of tape to really feel comfortable with it. But you know he can do it. So that was something you need to know about him. In terms of locking him into a pocket passer early in his career, I think that'd be a mistake. Let him get outside and make some plays outside on the perimeter. And the longer he plays, then you can move him more inside the pocket full time. But I think if you try and make him something he's not, from that standpoint, you'd be making a mistake. And then the last 2 things here real quick, the ball security thing. And, again, I know Mike talked about the fact that was a major issue with Jameis with the interceptions. With Mariota, there's 27 fumbles over the last 3 years. So that's something he needs to really hone in on and work on. And that's something that needs to be paid attention to. And then finally, the last thing was the guy's quiet, but don't doubt him as a competitor and his competitive nature, because I did a lot of homework on him and talked to a lot of people around him going back to high school and at Oregon, teammates, coaches, the whole deal. And when the stakes get high, this guy is a very, very competitive, and guys will respond to that.
Daniel Jeremiah joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show at Move the Sticks on Twitter. Move the Sticks, also the name of his podcast. Download everything you need at NFL.com right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk rumor and innuendo, DJ. That's what this time of year is all about. I'm going to give you some choices.
Yep.
Draft day trade. Adrian Peterson winds up in Dallas.
Okay.
Keep that in your mind.
Yep.
Phillip Rivers winds up in Tennessee as Mariota, who's going to have a private workout with San Diego coming up.
Yep.
That's the trade that swung. Somehow, some way, Chip Kelly makes a trade. I don't know how they're going to happen, but people still can't get past the fact that Sam Bradford's not a trading chip.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly makes a trade for Mariota. None of the above. Your choice would be for 3 weeks from yesterday being what?
I think, man, you know what? This Phillip Rivers thing and the Titans, that to me has real legs. I don't think this is some fantasy fiction. I think the fact that Mariota's working out for the Chargers on Monday gives legs to this. I think Phillip Rivers, the Tennessee Titans, I believe Nashville will be an hour away from where he grew up in Alabama. He'd be reunited with Ken Wisenhunt. Ken Wisenhunt loves veteran quarterbacks. Look what he did with Kurt Warner. I think it'd be a perfect move for Tennessee. Now, with San Diego, it would be a tough one for them. But, you figure, okay, we could potentially be moving to Los Angeles, and we'd be doing so with a young face of the franchise, Marcus Mariota, going forward. So I think that has legitimate legs. And I think the Adrian Peterson thing to the Cowboys. I mean, Tony Romo I guess he just woke up. He had some Fruit Loops and said, you know what, let's get with the Cowboys and let's restructure this contract. Let's do that right now for no reason.
So you're going choice B, then choice A,
yes,
and then discarding C and D in that regard,
yes,
obviously.
The thing about Chip Kelly, people forget Chip was there when they drafted Matt Barkley. So if he's obsessed with having to have a mobile quarterback to run his system, that was a peculiar move. Then re-signing Mark Sanchez, and now trading for Sam Bradford. And then when you look at his career when he was at New Hampshire before he got to Oregon, played with a pocket passer. So I think sometimes we think he's got to have a quarterback that runs 4-4, and I don't know that's necessarily the case.
So last question for you, Daniel Jeremiah. In your many years as a scout, working your way into your current role as part of the paparazzi, spending many years in Baltimore, Troy Polamalu has hung them up. Mm-hmm. And you've obviously, Ed Reed, spending many, many years in Baltimore. What was it like, Baltimore, when they would see Polamalu and try and game plan for him and get ready for him? Can you walk us through the inner sanctum of the Ravens trying to compete? Also, with your years with the Browns, too, there's a lot of Polamalu on that radar screen.
Oh yeah, and look, those years in Baltimore, it was you talk about a delight as a scout to be able to watch Ed Reed in his prime and Troy Polamalu in his prime. I don't know that it gets any better than those guys. And the thing I would say about Troy is when you're on the scouting side and you're working on advanced scouting reports and you're trying to figure out where these guys line up, Rich, and you got to fill out cards even for practice and help with different things. You would watch a tape, and I still don't know where he's lining up because they would move him all over the field, and you had no idea where he was going. You'd say, okay, by the looks of where he's lined up, we assume he's probably got flat responsibility here. Well, wait a second, he's going back to the deep middle here. We had no idea where he was going or what he was doing, and he always seemed to be in the right place at the right time in the right moments.
DJ, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. We'll see you in Chicago, right? That was not the royal we. I mean, all of us. Law and Brockman are coming too. We're doing shows from there, and we want you part of it, okay?
Oh, I'm in. We did Ray's Pizza together in New York, Rich. We got to get a spot in Chicago.
Well, there's many from which to choose there, sir.
All right, it's on you. I'm gonna go with your expertise.
How about this? You come on the show, because, again, our schedules are very busy. We're jammed, okay? But you make time, I'll give you the pizza.
No, that's a deal.
Freeze
I'm
up,
easy.
okay? Because that means some for us, too.
There you go.
I'm going to be very honest. There is an I in Rich and Eisen, despite my team playing. Thanks,
hey,
DJ.
Hey, you're under par today, Rich.
I'm trying. I'm not Jordan Spieth, but I'm trying. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. That's Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Media Group.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.